Good day, friends. This is a voice-only video because, as you know, a face is just a distraction. First of all, let me thank you for being here. Your presence is very much appreciated. Today's topic is why you should always look for arguments, fights, and confrontations. Obviously, we're referring to situations where you sense tension or a lingering uneasiness when dealing with anyone, both familiar or a total stranger. I personally hate, I despise, I truly loathe arguments, fights, confrontations, and tense moments. But they are a vital part of the growth process and the healthiest way to build sincere and lasting relationships. I realize that avoiding to look at things like disagreements and conflictual topics only made the overall relationship, including with myself, worse. Unresolved issues tend to grow. If not out in the open, they do for sure grow in our heads, and they fill up all the space available. An analogy is a can of soda that is been shaking by our internal turmoil. If unopened, it will eventually explode. Sure, the uncorking is a little messy, but the explosion would leave you in shreds and the other person soaked. Leaving a conflict unresolved can negatively impact morale, resulting in a tense and uncomfortable environment for all those involved, even for the bystanders. Resolving conflicts allows people to trust each other and better live together to achieve their goals. Conflict resolution allows people to understand each other better and creates smoother relationships for the future. If you sense that an unresolved issue, a dispute or conflict has lied dormant for days, weeks, months, or even years, rather than avoiding the conflict, why not start the year feeling empowered and ready to move beyond those difficult, unsettled issues? You can start from a place of tranquility and confidence to face whatever may arise in the future. The best way to do this is to find healthy ways to resolve those long-held contentions, even if it means attending some dispute sessions. It is important when dealing with long-term or long-running disputes that you understand what the dispute is really about. Sometimes conflict can be a personality clash or a simple misunderstanding. What better way to start a long relationship than to do away with any initial issues that could have gotten in the way? How many times are we presented with great friendships that started with very little common ground when not open mutual dislike? Picture this. Do you have a problem with me? Let's sort it out now. If you wonder why I always seek and engage in conflict, this is the reason. I hate conflict. To me, it is very, very stressful. It brings me on the verge of tears every time. If we don't sort this out now, we will carry it with us. Is that what we really want? Because conflict delayed is conflict multiplied. Let me repeat this because the concept needs to be driven home. Because conflict delayed is conflict multiplied. Things will grow and tension does not deflate issues, rather increases them. Conflict, if not resolved, will linger for days, weeks, months, years, or even decades. Is it not better to feel the sharp, brief pain of direct conflict rather than drag it on? As the conflict is delayed, the reason for not finding a solution multiply. The persons who are involved, because they are avoiding looking straight in the eyes of their situation, demean themselves and grow weaker and less confident. It is best to notice and resolve immediately. If you give conflicts time, they will ingrain in your tissues and ruin your life. I'm sure you can imagine the underbreath comments, the hatred mounting, and the suspicion that crawls into every aspect of your life. Your resentment against other people poisons your days, and if you wait too long to clear the issues, the uneasiness will leak all the way into your sleep. No person in their sane mind likes lingering conflict, as we are not naturally at ease with perennial conflicts. In case you actually do meet an individual who cherishes conflicts, fights, and hatred as a means of controlling others, evaluate the need to keep this person in your life or not. Openly confronted disagreements can be resolved in ways that assist cohesion in relationships and mutual understanding. Conflicts prevents stagnation in relationships and stimulates interests and curiosity. It is the medium, it is the mean through which problems can be aired and solutions arrived at, and can actually be enjoyable as a personal experience, the pleasure of the full and active use of their capabilities. Certainly, seeking dispute resolution as such is a desirable alternative to avoiding it entirely, only to create further issues over time. While conflict is daunting, the risk of escalating tension and starting a full-blown argument is reason enough to want to resolve as soon as the daily situation allows it. If you do not solve the issue, if you do not look for confrontation, you will develop resentment, either yours or the other person. Resentment is horrible. It's toxic and destructive, but it is and can be useful. Resentment can be a gateway to improvement if you can harness its power and channel it into a productive activity, or if you can funnel that energy in the repetition of concepts to be driven home, whatever you deem appropriate. End results are different for all of us, but the path to reaching them is more codified than you expect. Or, alternatively, you can foster resentment. Let it devour you and take you places that no one with clear mind would want to go. Resentment is the pathway to hell. If not managed carefully, resentment is like rust. It will eat you from the inside. While I don't like conflicts, actually I usually fear them, I realize that avoiding them is a far less productive solution rather than facing them. I'm not even sure that disciplining us to avoid putting ourselves in potentially conflicting situations is any better of a solution. Maybe it can even be considered a losing strategy. I hate conflicts, but I might hate myself even more, seeing me as a coward, if the avoidance process forces me to swallow pride in order to avoid a potential moment of controversy. If you run from inevitable conflict, the warrior within sees your behavior and feels lessened by it. Since it is quite common that only one of the parties involved is either hierarchical superior or is just seen as one, the other party can easily fall ill with depression if he believes to be trapped into a role he doesn't want to fulfill, to the point of seeking any way out, including self-harm, if the outcome seems less painful than lingering conflict. Conflict per se is not something that you should look forward to first thing in the morning, but it is neither something to hide from. Learn to evaluate case by case and view conflict just as another tool available in your set of skills. As a rule of thumb, when you see a relationship issue or report moving towards troubled waters, it is best to make allowance for conflict. Because, as Jordan Petersen says, conflict delayed is conflict multiplied. In closing this video, if you can avoid conflict, do not go look for it. But there is any tension, whatsoever, if your gut feeling tells you that things are not exactly as you want them, if your sixth sense tells you something is off, then by all means, force a conflict to set the record straight from day one. This is motivation and inspiration in the dark, and that is all I have for you today. Thank you. If you appreciate this channel, please consider subscribing and maybe sharing it with a friend. Again, thank you.